Good morning, afternoon, Bulldogs. I'm working in my kind of practice one here because I'm a little ahead. Um, but this is now in the second quarter, the second 9 weeks. So I go into here and I see week 9, October 19th through the 23rd. And then I have Thursday and Friday right here. So Thursday, let's start with Thursday. Thursday is part one of events leading to the Texas Revolution. So right up here, part one. Let me go to present mode. Okay, so basically, we've already gone through 1821, Mexico becomes independent from Spain. Then in 1824, they create their own constitution, their own rules of doing things. Um, and part of that constitution, they create some colonization laws. And we went over this week the impresarios, or maybe it was last week, but the impresarios that came in, the Anglos that were allowed to colonize Texas, and they start to have their own little community going. So the era of this is 1829 to 1836. And these are going to be the events that led Texas to break away from Mexico. Spoiler alert, Texas is no longer part of Mexico. Okay? So this first one here is a video that you can watch that just kind of gives you the whole thing in context. It's only a couple of minutes long, and it kind of talks about kind of the overview of everything, exactly what it says up there. Then what you have is you're going to have these videos. So, and it's the old from English class. Somebody wanted, but so then, and I gave you a few pointers on it. So, if we go to the first event, the Fredonian Rebellion, and we play the video.
The Fredonian Rebellion begins in 1826, kind of carries over into 1827, and Nacogdoches, one of the few cities that were still around after Spain left Texas and Mexico became independent. Some of the people involved were Hayden Edwards, Richard Fields, who was a Native American, he was a Cherokee chief, and Stephen F. Austin. So, in 1826, Hayden Edwards and his brother wanted to become an impresario, and they got permission from the Mexican government to settle people in Nacogdoches. The problem was that there was already a lot of people in that area. Uh, there were some Native Americans, there were some filibusters who hadn't really ever been kicked out, and they were just living on the land without permission. But they had been there for a long time, so they felt like they had rights to the land. But Hayden Edwards was very, very um, sort of consumed with making
Okay,
money
and
as a
so you're just
chief
going to kind of
as
go
an
through and
impresario.
watch this, get the pointers. One thing you can do with this is you can always get the closed captions, and you can go to settings over here. And if you want it in a different language, you can go to auto translate. Let's just go to for our Spanish speakers. Now, this is not going to be perfect, but you can go in there and it'll.
So he comes into the land and he tells all the Tejanos, the Native Americans, even the Anglo settlers who were there illegally to get out of there because they weren't paying for the land. Those people were not very happy, and so they went to the Mexican government and asked for permission to stay. And the Mexican government initially said that they are sick of all the issues that are going on with Hayden Edwards. Hayden Edwards also got involved in a scandal where he basically changed election results, and so the Mexican government ended up not supporting him and taking back his impresario grant. The problem was that Hayden Edwards had spent a lot of money to do this, and he wasn't willing to leave. And the families he had brought with him to live on the
So
land.
basically, what you got here is you've got Hayden Edwards is making up his own rules, and the Mexican government is tired of that guy. So remember, the empresarios get their land from Mexico. The Mexican government invites them. So they're basically saying you're not invited anymore. So
Weren't wanting to go either. So Hayden Edwards joined up with a bunch of Cherokee natives who had been moved into the area and he said, we're going to form our own country. We're going to call ourselves Fredonia. And you can see over here in the red, the Fredonian colonies, Edward's colonies, and they're going to take that part of that and make it their own land. And you notice that Austin, Stephen F. Austin, is right nearby. So independence, liberty, and justice is what they put on their flag. You'll notice, you might have seen this before on a flag, a white field on the top and a red field on the bottom. And if you're not quite sure, you should definitely take a look at a Texas flag. The Texas flag actually has the Fredonian Rebellion flag built into it. So it definitely tells us that this is an important event. Well, he forms his own country, or he claims he does. Well, Stephen F. Austin hears of this, and he's invited to join the Fredonians, and he has to make a decision. Will I join the Anglo settlers, people who have a very similar culture to me, or will I continue to support Mexico? I did promise to help people become Mexican citizens, and he knows that Mexico's afraid of filibusters. He hears of what Hayden Edwards done, and he is angry. He says, no, we are not filibusters. We are going to lose everything. The Mexican government will cancel everyone's land grants. I will lose everything. And so he actually sends people to take down Hayden Edwards. The Mexican Dragoons, they show up at the Old Stone people underneath Chief Richard Fields, are trying to have this rebellion. And Hayden Edwards hears about this, and he makes a decision. He's going to leave.
Okay, so you finished that. The main point that I want to make sure you understand from that video is it was taken, I know they called it Fredonia, but it was in Nacogdoches was the area that it was. And so remember Fredonian or Nacogdoches. And Stephen F. Austin at this point is on the side of the Mexican government. So this is kind of the beginnings of the Texas Revolution, but they don't even consider it at this point. It's just one rebel colony that is not happy with the way things are going. So what you're then going to be asked to do is, what did Hayden Edwards want? But what happened? So then he did this, and then the Mexican government worried that they were losing control of Texas. So this first rebellion is going to scare Mexico and lead to the Miran E. Terran report, which is going to be a report that the Mexican government makes to keep control of Texas. You start this video at 3:58, and you're really going to be talking, you really want to be looking at what he found out, because he does a little report about Texas, and then you find that out. And then you have a little exit ticket here. Let me move my head out of the way here. I've given you some sentence frames. So what did both events have in common? That'd be the Fredonian Rebellion and the Miri E. Terran report. Both events increased what? Between what two countries? What are the two countries that are really, I know they've been invited in, the Anglos, but what country did they come from? And then which event did you think had more impact on Texans being angry with the Mexican government, and why? So you have two events there. Which one do you think will cause them to be more angry? And then that one's your opinion. Okay? So that's pretty much all you have to do. It's the first two events. There's going to be 6 total events. We'll do this over 3 days. And that's pretty much all you have to do today. When you're done, you just submit it and understand what it is, because you'll be taking a quiz over the first 4 events on Friday.